Do you have a language you want to start speaking right away? Or you just want to get ready for that new trip to a different country? Well, this method could work for you like it did for me. Language learning can be hard and difficult for the average person and not fun to do after a long day of whatever goes in your life. It can be especially challenging with all the thousands of new language words that you will have to remember in order to learn the language effectively. This method gives a different approach. It is something I sort of came up with and made. The creation of the method was influenced by a method that I got from a book called Remembering the Kanji by James W. Heisig. Overall, this method makes it easier for people who tell themselves that they have terrible memory or is too busy to start learning a language. But don't worry, the method I will show you is convenient and easy to do. And I will bet that once you finish watching this video and understand how to do this method, you'll be able to memorize 10 to 20 words a day easily. So easy, in fact, that you will feel like you will have photographic memory when it comes to learning language vocabulary. Now, before we get started, I want you to forget about learning how to write and read in the language that you want to learn. This method is focused more on getting you to speak and understand right away, to get you ready to immediately to start being immersed in conversation with native speakers of the language you are trying to learn. Cause I believe the whole point of learning a language is to start connecting with others, and I don't think people should focus right away or make it a priority on being stressed out in learning how to write and read a language first. I think it's more easier if we learn how to talk in that language first, which once we're able to achieve, would make it easier to learn how to be able to read and write in that language later on. I mean, that is how babies learn. They learn how to talk before they learn how to read and write. So we are going to skip the writing and reading nonsense and make it a priority to teach you how to enjoy learning a language easily. Also, I encourage people to not be stressed out in learning grammar as well. Just find someone to start speaking to and use this method to make it fun to talk to them. That is all I am asking. So the big idea I want you to focus on is memorizing the vocabulary. The more vocabulary you know, the easier it is for you to get immersed in conversation with native speakers to effectively learn a language. Immersion is key, but having a structured way to remember the vocabulary helps make speaking and adapting to real conversation to be a much easier thing to do. The method is going to take 4 steps for you to do in order to achieve in being able to memorize language vocabulary effectively. This method is done on a phone or computer on an app called ANKI. Also, ANKI is free, by the way, that can be downloaded on any smartphone and computer. But if you plan to download it on iPhone, unfortunately, at the time of this recording, it'll cost money. Don't tell me why, Apple is the only greedy one here. Anyways, here I have my iPhone being displayed with ANKI. ANKI is a digital flashcard app. If I go into the app, here I already created a deck called Language Vocabulary. I will create a new card in this deck. If I go in here and I press add, so this is what it looks like. Here we have the front of the card and the back of the card. What I'm going to do first is type out the word that I want to learn in the language that I am most comfortable with, which is English, of course. So say if I wanted to learn how to say hello in Spanish, this is how I would do it. So I would type the English word that I know in English right here. And, just in case, I'll just say in Spanish. There you go. Now, on the back of the card, I want to get a recording of how to pronounce the word in that language. So if I have a friend that I'm hanging out with and they know how to speak Spanish, I would ask them, hey, I'm learning Spanish. I want to know how to say hello in Spanish. Can I record your voice of how you say it? And if they agree to it, then yeah, I would use this feature on ANKI, the voice recording feature. I would, just give me a second. So you see that little icon with the speaker on it? I'm gonna click it while I have the back selected of the card. So I press it. And it would say ANKI would like to access your microphone. Press allow. And it's recording at the moment. So once I see this pops up, I would bring the phone up to my friend. I would tell them, yeah, just say the word. And they would say, yeah, hola. Okay. And you press finish. And it's recording at the moment. So once I see this pops up, I would bring the phone up to my friend. I would tell them, yeah, just say the word. And they would say, yeah, hola. Okay. And you press finish. Okay, so yeah, I mean the recording can be as long as you want, but let's say we just want to get that section part of him saying hola, for example, right? So again, let's try again. Ready? I would tell them, okay, I'm gonna count to 3 and you're gonna say the word in Spanish, or how to say hello in Spanish. So I would hold the phone up to their mouth and I would count to 1, 2, 3, press the mic, hola, and then press finish, hola, and there you go. So now every time let me just save this card real quick and show you what it looks like. So I just saved it. It's added to my deck. Go back. Here you go. I'm looking at the deck, the card right now. So I see the front of the card and it says hello in Spanish. Now I have to think, okay, how do I say hello in Spanish? Well, if I don't know, then I'll just reveal the back of the card and get the answer. So let's look at the answer again. Hola. There you go. Voice recorded. And that's really how I would approach learning a language, but we're going to go even further from here. There's more to it, more steps I want to add, but this is basically the very basic kind of step. By the way, if you don't have someone to help you record vocabulary, then it's fine to use the internet and look for audio recordings to help add more vocabulary. Anyways, now since we have a basic setup of the digital flashcard, let's go over and edit this card even more. It's now time to go even further and start the steps of the method to get this Spanish word really ingrained in our memory that it becomes really hard to forget. Step 1. Keyword method. The keyword method is when you connect a new word to a familiar word or image that sounds similar, then create a small mental story to remember it. How we are going to do this is by taking advantage of the syllables of the vocabulary word. If you don't know what syllables are, here is a brief explanation. A syllable is a single beat or sound unit in a word, usually built around one vowel sound. So, for example, the word cat has 1 syllable. The word apple has 2 syllables. The word banana has 3 syllables. The word information has 4 syllables. So now you know what a syllable is. Let's focus on the syllables of the Spanish word and break down their sound down, like this. So this word right here, hello in Spanish, hola. Yep, you hear that? Hola has 2 syllables. Once we know how many syllables the language vocabulary word has, it is now time for the next step. Step 2. Visual mnemonics. Visual mnemonics means using pictures or mental images to remember information instead of just words. Or in simpler terms, you remember things better when you can see them in front of you or in your head. So what we're going to do is draw and connect pictures, imagery to the sound of each syllable in the word, and add a plus sign in between the drawings like this. So let me go to this card again, and I will go press edit. So since I know the 2 syllables, la, sorry, I didn't mean to stick a middle finger there, but yeah, let me go here, and I'm gonna press on the drawing icon. Okay, so I'm gonna click on it right here. There you go. And hola. So the first word is O, right? So I'm starting to think, what can I draw that begins with O, right? Or the sound of it. I'm thinking of an octopus. So this is my best drawing that I can do for an octopus. Okay, I'm gonna find the color red. And okay, that's my best drawing. All right, you don't have to be perfect. And I'll put a plus sign between that octopus, right? A plus sign. So I got the O part. Now I need to find the La part. So the La part is, let's see. Let me think. Maybe I can draw someone singing. They're singing la la la. Okay. So this is how I'm gonna draw it. I have a face right here, and this guy is just singing, and I'll just write the word la coming out of his mouth. There you go, right? So now this picture is basically a visual representation of the word in my own way. You know, you can use whatever images, okay? It doesn't have to be how I would use different types of images. You can figure out other ways to associate words, sound, and imagery together. So you don't have to use the octopus, and you don't have to use this picture of a guy singing. You can figure out other associations, okay? So go wild. Anyways, since I got that, right? There you go. I just add it to my card and I press save. So now when I see my my flashcard, I see the front of the card, hello in Spanish. And then when I go to review the back of the card, hola. Okay, there you go. I got the sound of the word. Now I got a visual representation of the word. And yeah, that's it. That's really it for step 2. Step 3, dual coding theory. Dual coding means your brain remembers things better when you use both words and images at the same time. Again, in simple terms, if you hear it and see it, it sticks way better. So how we are going to do this is we are going to create a story connecting the pictures and the language word together. I will give you an example. So again, I have the app open once again, and I have the word hello in Spanish right in front of me. So how am I edit this even further to make it more powerful to remember is that first, let's see what we got so far. Hola. Okay, we got the sound and we got the picture. Now it's time to create a story connecting the two. So let's go to edit and let's go here. And I'm just gonna conjure up or make up a story that connects the picture, the sound, and the word together. So hello in Spanish, and in Spanish for hello is hola. And I see an octopus and a guy singing la. Okay, so let's think of a way to connect. So, okay, the octopus is saying hello, and that's very important. You have to have the meaning, so have it doing the action of the word that we are trying to remember. Okay, so the octopus is saying hello, hola, to the singing guy. Okay, that's a very basic sentence. I encourage you guys be more creative in making your stories to make it even more memorable. I mean, you can make it like the octopus is saying hello to the, okay, what's a group of band or lead singers that you guys can think of? Okay, let's come up with who's a good singer right now? Post Malone. Okay, the octopus is saying hello to Post Malone. But let's just leave it at the singing guy. Okay, at the coffee shop, the singer said thank you to the octopus, and they went on their way to be friends. Okay, that's kind of like a very random story, but I'm gonna show you how it really ties in to making you remember. But yeah, let's just leave it at that. Again, come up with your own stories, come up with your own images, come up with how you want to associate and connect things, okay? Again, it doesn't have to be how I would do it. But yeah, and once we got a story of the octopus, of the singing guy saying hello to each other, it's now time to save. So I'm gonna save the card, and anytime I see this card again on my queue on my ANKI app, I click it open. Hola, there you go. And this is what we're seeing, okay? All right, I hope that makes sense. It will. Definitely will make sense. Just watch to the end of the video. Every time you think or try to recall a word in a language, always try to remember the pictures you drew and the stories you made about it first. If you do that, you will now find that it is so much easier to remember those complicated language words, even during real conversations when you are scrambling to find words to say in the moment of trying to communicate with another. Okay guys, so let's do a couple of more example words in other different languages. So let's start with Chinese. Let's figure out how to say hello in Chinese. So I already did like a little bit of research. Oh, let me get my phone out right here. So let's go in the deck and let's add hello in Chinese, Mandarin. So hello in Chinese. There we go. So I guess I know how to say ni hao, okay? I'm probably butchering it, but let's go forward with it. So say if I have a friend that speaks Chinese and I'm like, okay, can you record of you saying the word onto my ANKI app? So I would hold the phone up close to their mouth and I would press the mic icon. Ni hao. Ni hao, okay? Probably butchering it, but anyways, I got the sound. Now I'm gonna break down the syllables of that language word. So I'm gonna draw it. So the first syllable is ni, and what I'm gonna do to draw a picture of associating the syllable is ni. What sounds similar to ni? Well, your kneecap. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a leg right here, and I'll just draw a shoe right here. There you go. Okay, and here's the kneecap. Okay, you see it. And then how? Okay, how do I draw how in picture form? Well, howdy, like a cowboy. Howdy, y'all. So I'm gonna draw a cowboy hat. Okay. There you go. That's my cowboy hat. Okay. Ni hao. Okay. Now, the next step is to write a story associating the two pictures together with the meaning. Okay. So hello in Chinese. Okay. So let's say, okay. The cowboy was riding his horse across the desert. His horse hit his leg. Oh no, hit his kneecap on a rock. Okay, there you go. I associated the two pictures together. Now it's time to tie it down with the meaning, which is hello. The cowboy fell down because of that. That and um and and he laid there while other cowboys were passing by him saying hello. There you go. I tied the meaning, which is hello. After that, save. Okay, that's one for saying hello in Chinese. How about Japanese? Okay, so how to say hello in Japanese? Konnichiwa, right? So I'm gonna type the word again, hello, in Japanese. Okay, so again, record the sound. Get the source from anywhere, from your friend, associates, or online. Okay, just get the audio recording. So, ready? Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. Okay. And I'm gonna draw and break the syllables down. Okay, so the first one is ko. Okay, how do I draw a picture of ko, the first syllable? Coca-Cola. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a ball of Coca-Cola, the drink. So it's a canned Coca-Cola. Okay, not my best drawing of a Coca-Cola, but hey, it'll work. As long as I can look at it and see it as like a Coca-Cola, then hey. Okay, I put a plus sign. Now, ko-ni. Okay. I'm going to draw again. I'm gonna use the kneecap again. So I'm gonna draw that leg with a kneecap. There you go. Here's the leg. And then chi. Chi. Maybe like your inner chi, right? Like the monks, they always say, find your inner chi, build your inner chi. So how do I draw inner chi? Well, to me, what chi looks like is like just like like this colorful 3 stones. You got the water chi, you got your fire chi, you got your wind chi, and I'm gonna draw a little monk figure right here, just right here, sitting down and meditating their chi. Okay, well, this is the best I could do. I mean, I'm literally drawing with my finger, but hey, make the best of it. So yeah, they're doing like man, okay, that's horrible, but hey, let's go with it. Ko ni chi wa. So wa, I can do water, I can do walrus, I can do I mean anything. Waffles. Let's do waffles, okay? Waffles. Again, I always encourage people to just be creative. Pick whatever images that you can use to associate the syllables, the sounds. Because really, you're trying to make like a sort of bowl, like something to help carry information. Okay, there you go. Ko ni chi wa. There you go. I got these 4 pictures to help me hold the sound. Now, it's time to tie it all in with a story. So, let's see. Ko ni chi. So how do I write a story about this? And tying it all in with hello. Okay, how about the monk was meditating and people meditating on his knees, which is pretty painful for long hours of meditation. Okay? So I got the monk and I got the knees. People started to come by and say hello. They also brought food in the form of a coke of a coke drink and a batch of waffles. There you go. That's the story that I'm going to work, like I'm going to use to memorize the word, to tie it all in together. So let's save it. So there we go. I hope you understand how the method works now. We are designed to remember stories well, especially if it's a good story. Isn't it funny when you think about it that we can remember an entire plot of a 3-hour movie, the characters, the visual scenes, even weeks after watching that movie for the first time? But compared to trying to remember someone's name or phone number for the first time, we tend to forget them after a couple of minutes or even seconds. The reasons we remember stories and movies easily is because our brain is built to remember meaning, emotions, and visuals, not random information. A story gives your brain something to connect to, but a random name or phone number is just a sound with no context. So it fades fast, unless you really meet someone that you find attractive or significant enough to remember their name or phone number. But for most people in life that we meet, that is not the case. Anyways, the idea is that I'm taking the language words that I am learning, which I then basically wrap my own stories and pictures around them to make it easier to remember them. That is what you're going to do as well. And you will find that the information just goes right into your long-term memory much easier, faster, and better. Step 4. Space repetition. So after I finish converting all of the words that I want to learn from the language for the day of using the first 3 steps of the method to turn them into stories, essentially. Now having the new knowledge of the vocabulary words easily enter my head, to prevent this new knowledge from being forgotten, the last process is that I use the ANKI app to help me review and increase the retention of the information by using a method called space repetition. That way, I won't have to worry about forgetting what I just memorized in the long run. It could be weeks to months to even years. It wouldn't matter as long as I'm consistent of using the benefits of space repetition. Of course. How I review the information is that whenever I open up this ANKI app, I start going through each vocabulary cards that I made to see if I'm able to recall them correctly. If I have a successful review of being able to recall the vocabulary words of certain cards, I increase the interval. If I fail to recall certain cards, then I decrease the interval, sometimes even back to day 1. And so far, I found great results with this process of using space repetition to help retain my knowledge of the language vocabulary words. The process of the space repetition system ensures that the cards I have the most trouble with in recalling gets more focus to work on, and the cards that I have the least trouble with gets pushed back to be reviewed at a more optimal and appropriate date. So I'm going to do a quick example to show you guys how the interval space repetition system works on ANKI. So right now I have the ANKI app open on my phone, and right now I am looking at the language vocabulary deck right in front of me. I'm gonna click onto that. And the first word that pops up onto my deck is hello in Spanish. And the first thing I do is try to remember the story associated with the word. So if I'm trying to recall the word in Spanish that means hello, then I have to remember the story. Okay, so I remember the story that there's an octopus that is saying hello to a guy singing at a coffee shop, and later on they become friends. Okay? So, and the word that I'm connecting with the octopus and the guy singing, I remember it's being Ola. So let's see if I got that correctly by revealing the back of the card. Ola. Okay, there you go. I got the octopus and the singing guy, and the story is the octopus is saying hello to the singing guy at the coffee shop. The singer said thank you to the octopus, and they went on their way to be friends. Okay, I didn't memorize the story word for word, but I know the context. I remember the context of the story, and that led me to recall the word of how to say hello in Spanish, which is hola. So, as you can see, you see the 4 buttons on the bottom, which is all color labeled. The first, these are all basically intervals, right? Of how much interval you want to increase or decrease. So let's look at the first one. The first one is red, and you see that as 15 minutes or less. So if I had a struggle or I forgot how to recall the card, then I press the red button and it will come back 15 minutes later to be reviewed again. Now for the next button, which is the orange one, which is the hard button, then that means if the card was a hard struggle, it was a struggle to recall the card. I mean, I got the answer, but it was still kind of difficult, and I'm not very confident in being able to recall it effectively or quickly. Then I press the orange button and it'll come back a day later, but the algorithm of it will change to be more likely that I have to review this card more often. Okay? Okay, on to the next button, which is the green button, which is good. And if I press that one, it'll come back a day later, but the algorithm kind of remains the same and in a healthy way where the interval can increase into like a higher amount. So with the difference between the orange and the green is that the orange will be like, okay, if I get it correctly, it'll come back like 2 days later, okay? But for the green, if I get it correctly, if I press the green, then it'll come back like, 3 days later. And if I keep getting it correctly more often, pressing the green button, then 3 days later becomes 6 days later, then 15 days later, then 20 days later. But if you progress with the orange one, then it'll be like 2 days later, maybe 4 days, then 6 days. It's a slower growth interval, I could say. And the last one is, if it was super easy, that I got it right away and it was no challenge at all, and I'm super confident that I can recall it whenever, then I press the easy button, which is the blue button, and it will come back 30 days later to be reviewed, a 30-day interval, which is, crazy. But, there will be cards that you will make that it just like, it's so easy to remember that, sometimes I would press that button and I would have no problem reviewing the card in a 30-day interval of seeing that card 30 days later. So anyways, hello in Spanish was, it was pretty, actually, I'll just say it was super easy. So I'll press the blue button. There you go. It'll come back 30 days later for me to review again. Again, Anki's spaced repetition system doesn't make you repeat things randomly. It shows you information right before your brain would normally forget it, so you remember it with less effort over time. Anyways, congrats on learning the method. The last thing I want to let you know is that it is important to start practicing and refining what you know. Even though I made it easier for you to memorize language vocabulary and made it easier for you to probably understand when someone is speaking to you in the language you are learning, it doesn't mean you are fluent and can speak the language correctly right away. I want to clarify that. Here is a saying: Acquiring knowledge is the first step to developing skill. The second step is knowledge with practice comes skill. I only made it easier for you to be able to acquire knowledge, and I leave the rest to you to put in the work to practice speaking, to refine and improve from that knowledge. To put it simply, don't worry about how you pronounce the words, especially when it comes to Asian languages that uses a lot of tonal distinctions. I believe the more you practice and immerse yourself in the language you are learning how to pronounce and say the language words correctly will come naturally over time. The only thing you need to do is just try.